Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. And what you're looking at today is the worst flowing LS3 heads I have ever flowed. And I mean, they're bad. I mean, these things flowed worse than stock LS3 heads. They flowed worse than stock LS3 heads with carbon in them, matter of fact. You can go back and watch a video I showed about what happens when you clean them a port and how much you gain from taking the carbon out. No port work, just cleaning them up. It's in a past video, go back. I have no idea how to link that stuff. Someday I'll figure out how to use YouTube better. But anyway, one of my old videos, I had an LS3 head that was brought in, was dirty, been on the engine, been 75,000 miles. Sandblasted it, refloated, and it picked up quite a bit. But regardless, with all the carbon and everything in it, it was about 20 CFM better than this thing. And you're like, well, what exactly do you have here? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. The customer said these are Pro Header LS3 heads. However, there's signs to me that says these are screaming Pro Comp LS3 heads. And you might be asking yourself why, but I'll tell you in just a minute. Let's go through some things why they suck. Okay, first off, the valve job. If you watch any of my other videos, I talk about this quite a bit, but most of your flow comes from 1 inch this way of the valve job and 1 inch this way from the valve job. That valve job is horrible. Look how it goes 45 and then steep right in there. Now there's no lip behind here, but this throat percentage is something like 83%, which is really small. The valve job doesn't have 5 angles, it has 3, and it looks like one of these is like a 30, really long. It's blocking its way. Look at the exhaust, which probably not doing a good job with the light. That's the 45, and then at no radius, just boom, dump. And dump into a lip. Hard. And then to make matters worse, I've talked about this in several videos too. So here's our seat angle, barely. Maybe right there. This is our top cut. That lip you have right here, that hurts flow every time at low lifts. And some at peak. And it's got a noticeable one. All the way around. Exhaust has one too. Pretty bad. But definitely on the intake. Now here's the other thing. They came assembled, okay? And I vacuum test them just to see maybe they were sealed up. Because the valve job has 2 real purposes. One, the most important one, is it has to seal. The valve has to seal so that, when compression happens, nothing gets by it and it does its job. The second thing is for flow. Well, I can already look at it and tell you, and from flowing it knew it sucked. But I vacuum tested to see if the valve job is actually good. And let's see if I broke, yeah. This exhaust one was really, really bad. This intake was bad. Let's see if there's other ends. And that's, nope, none exhaust bad. So that was horrible. There was 3 already on this one. 3 out of 8 on this one. No bueno. Not so good. Now, the port itself doesn't really look that bad. If you see my Flowtech head, and I'll pop it out here in a sec to compare, it has a guide that sticks way up, and it has this lump here for where the spring pocket is. This one doesn't have it. So the port itself doesn't look that bad. Not as bad as I would have thought anyway. But the port doesn't. The valve job's horrible. Now, you said, wait a minute, how could you tell it was a Pro Comp, or what makes you think it might be a Pro Comp? This might be hard to capture in the camera, but I want you to try to see this. This is the top cut. See this part of the chamber here? It's flat. You can see it here too. There's only one company I know of that does that way, and that's Pro Comp. Their small block Chevy heads were that way. Their big block Chevy heads were that way, where you have it should come, in case you're wondering, the top cut should come smooth right into the chamber. It shouldn't come up, then angle back this way, and have this big old flat spot. Let's see if I can capture it better. Can you kind of see it there? See that flat spot that goes all the way around? And you can see it on the exhaust as well. That's screams Pro Comp. It's not the way you do it. See that little thing here? This needs to be moved up because you're not supposed to leave a step like that. So anyway, that screams Pro Comp because that's how they are. I know it's not the same as the Flowtech because also the chamber, if you look at the way it comes back here. So there's some clues. Now, you've seen that. The monocle is from when I flowed it. The port itself is supposed to be at 255 cc's, but if you look at it, the bottom's wider than the top. May not be a bad idea, but if it flowed, what it did. By the way, the customer came in and claimed it flowed these numbers. Okay. It's supposed to be 255 cc's. Supposed to flow 377 at 700. And at 400, it's supposed to flow 290. You ready for the real numbers? The real flow numbers. Let's put them side by side. So, let's see. 400, 290. What was it actually at 400? 245. 245. Stock one's like 250, 260. Okay, let's look at 500. It's supposed to be 327. 271. Yeah, that bad. That's just fine. Its best number says 377 at 700. 277. You're 100 CFM off. No head in my bench has ever been this far off from advertised. 100 CFM. It peaks flows at 298 at 1 inch of valve lift. You can ask about, oh, there's nobody that's a cam that goes that far. Remember I told you, this tells you how stable the port is. For the record, a stock LS3 head on my bench, they vary, but typically they're in the 318 up to 325 range. This doesn't even hit 300. The exhaust, 189. According to them, it's supposed to be 260. That's bad. That's really bad. Now, I did redo the valve job. So this one's done, or not done. This is the way it came. But I did recut the valve job so you can kind of get an idea what its valve jobs are supposed to look like, kind of. This has not been blended, just been cut out. But you can see, by the way, the seat material they have, it's made from garbage cans or something, because it's hard as hell. I had to use sharpen my cutter several times, but even then I had to use a stone just to get some of this top to come in right. It wasn't cutting great. Anyway, you could see you got your bottom cut, seat angle, and then there's a top cut. So you can kind of get an idea. Now there is still a lip, of course, right here for sure, and I'll be blending all that out and that out. And I'll reflow it to see if it gains. Hopefully it's better than a stock LS3. And now it has a radius on the exhaust. You got your 45, and then you got a radius. So I'll flow it after I blend these and get the better idea, so you can see what the difference is. Now, I did say I was going to show you this, but let me show you how it compares to the Flowtech. So bear with me as I grab that head. You'll remember this head because I've been using it a ton on the internet ports heads. So remember this is also the dimple one. If you notice its chamber, there's no lip. This is the stock valve job. Remember, these have already been done or working on in progress. I know you guys want to see more progress with it. I just haven't had time. I will, I promise. Nice transition, smooth out. No step here on the exhaust compared to that one. Remember that ridge you saw there? That's how it's supposed to be. No ridge. So much better design. You can tell its veins different. Besides being dimpled, that's how it is. That's a nice narrow point. That's a big old fat one. So anyway, if you were to get one, you're in the Chinese stuff, I would do the Flowtech before I do Pro Header or Pro Comp, whatever that is. I'm gonna do this one. The other clue is the ends. Flowtech clearly says Flowtech. That one looks kind of like an LS because it's got its plug. Anyway, there's your video on the worst LS3 head I've ever seen in my life. Maybe you'll get a follow-up whenever I blend the seats on this other one and reflow it and see if it picked up any. Hopefully it's at least better than the stock LS3, but I'll try to keep you posted on that. Oh, I didn't do that either. I just now spotted that. That's not from me. That's how they came. Oh, yeah. China. All right. You guys take care. All right. I wanted to leave the video with this. I just did like the most basic pocket port job on these heads. You just saw as it came off the seat and guide machine, I did a valve job. But I wanted to show you this and show you what happened because of it. I know somebody's going to judge me because of this port work, but look, the guy's just paying for a pocket port job. He just wanted them going to the 330s. I usually don't have a much better finish on all this stuff, but this was just, look, this is going to save him money. This is going to get him what he needs to do. That's not going to invest more of my time because I can make it look a lot better and flow more for that matter too. Not just looks, but make it flow much more. But that takes time, and time costs money. So it's hard for someone to invest, say, $1,000 on a port job on a set of heads that are only $400. See what I'm saying? So in this case, it was just trying to get get what I can out of him for the least amount of time, see if I can hit his goals real easily. So, but the good news is this one allows me to show you what you could do at home, because you could do this at home. Not the valve job, that you're gonna have to have done by a professional. But here's all I did, okay? Now, if you see the finish and it looks rough, someone's like, oh, yay, it helps with fuel atomization. This is actually my pink stone. Whenever I'm porting, I don't often show this, but I use the pink stone to take out some of the deeper ridges after I've got done using the burr. So the aluminum cut burr that takes out most material. Usually I'll go to a cross cut, which makes it finer, but in this case, I just went right to the pink stone. The pink stone's like a 24 grit deal. It's a ½ inch wide, and that's what I use. So that's the reason why it looks like this. It does leave a rougher finish. It's not as beautiful. Now this right here is just 80 grit. But anyway, let's talk about what's been done. All I did was open up the bowl just a few percent. So, and the reason for that was trying more to get the shape, not so much make the bowl so much bigger. So I made the bowl 2% bigger, which I can't remember what the exact measurement is across. But I made it 2% bigger, but more just to get the shape right, because it's more like they put a square and an oval came together right there and had problems. And then I made the throat at 90.5%. And the reason why is because I wanted to get it a little more area here and get it to blend better in with the valve job and into the bowl. So, and as you could tell, so nothing crazy there. On the exhaust side, all I did was, I didn't even make it, I made the bowl match where the lip from the valve job was, because if you notice a little bit earlier in the video, there's a pretty good notch out here from where the valve job was cut. So that just pretty much got rid of, and then I just hit it with the pink stone. So anyway, that's what's been done. On the chamber side itself, if you notice, I talked about there being a ledge there. You did use a burr to knock that ledge out, but then what I did is I took some dummy valves. This is not one. And all you do is you shove it down in there, and then you take your burr, I took the burr already, but then you use your cartridge roll and just with the dummy valves in place. You do it on that side, as you can tell, sweeping back and forth, just to kind of knock off that edge. Something real quick to get it done. Does it look beautiful and magnificent? No, it doesn't, but it does the job. So I did float right after just to show you. So anyway, let's see what happens with it. All right, move this out of the way, grab it for you. So this will just give you an idea. So this is stock, this is ported, this whole column here. So this is the intake side. So now I'll go through them real quick. It gains about 1 CFM at 1/10, which is no big deal. Same at 2/10, then it starts gaining. 203 to a 206, gain 3. A 245 to 250, gain 5. And then you can start to see it really jumps up at 500 lift. You went from a 271 to a 293, 22 CFM gain. You're gonna feel that. For the amount of work done, that's good. I mean, that's solid 25 horsepower right there. At 600, it went from 283 to 324. So big difference. At 650, it went 331. The only reason why I even measured at 650 because it was the guy wanted 330. I got 331 at 650. At 700, it has its velocity problems, which I've been dying to mention this. I didn't talk about this, and I was going to mention on the AFR head video too. I measured the short side height, which I measured from the deck to the apex, which is the peak of the short side between this head, which is the Pro header head, the Flowtech head, and the AFR. This one actually has the tallest short side. It's about 90 thousandths taller than the Flowtech. Then the next tallest is the AFR, which is only maybe 20 thousandths shorter than this. And the Flowtech's 90 thousandths shorter than this one. So there's more short side height with this, which usually builds better low end numbers. But it usually hurts the top end because there's only so much area there that they have to work with. But that's really being general. Point being is there's more material here to work with than there was in the Flowtech as far as the short side is. There's probably a lot left in this head, Maybe so, more so than the Flowtech if it wasn't for the chamber. Anyway, going on, it dropped off because I didn't really do any short side work. If you notice, let me just roll this back. All I did was blend it in. That's all I'm doing. I didn't knock down the short side, make it, lay it back any, make it wider any. No, I just went with the bowl and brought it all the way around, which makes hardly any difference at all except for blending in the valve job. That's it. So because of that, good numbers here, but it's still going to drop off, which it did. 306, but then it jumps back up 323, 338, 341. Now, some of you might say, well, how's that compared to a stock LS3 head? Well, good news is now it's better than the stock LS head. On my bench, the stock LS heads flow 322. They do it about 700. They don't drop off at 700 like this one did. So in that case, at 700, the stock LS3 is still better, but not at 6. The stock one, I think, is like 312. So this is 10 even better. And by the way, the stock one will drop and only maintains 322. This one's better. I'll go ahead and say it's now slightly better. If I was to put on the dyno and tell you the difference, I bet it's 25 horsepower difference between this and a stock head, which someone's going to say, well, that's a lot of money someone spent for that. True. I don't know that I would have started with this casting, but if you never knew, if someone hadn't brought them to me and no one ever showed you, you would never know. So a lot of people buy these heads and thought it was better than the stock one too. A lot of people. It wasn't like they just sold one head. All right, let's look at the exhaust numbers before I get off track too far. Exhaust gain pretty much everywhere. Same at 1, you can call it. Gain, about 20 CFM, almost 30. You get the idea. It's gained everywhere. So pretty good gains there on the exhaust side too from just doing that. I mean, you guys could do that at home. So you probably could pick these heads up pretty cheap. Go take them to a machine shop, have the valve job done. I promise you, you can do this. This stuff's not too difficult. You just need an aluminum cut burr to take out some of the material. And then you can get it purchased a pink stone from Cylinder Head Abrasive. It's on a 4.5-inch long shank. They cost like, I think it's $4 or $5 for each one. You can easily do this at home. So if you got these cheap heads, that's what you can do. Anyway, I wanted to make sure you got more information about the worst flowing LS3 head I've ever seen and improvements that could be done. Thanks for watching, and I got one more thing. Since you stuck around this long, several people have asked in my other videos about the camshaft for my S10, what camshaft I'm on, and I thought it was secret squirrel stuff. Here's a tip. If you watch some of the older videos, the stuff's already in there, but I'll show you anyway. This is the camshaft that's in the S10, the exact one. There you can look at the all the numbers for it. This is what's in my 355. That's right. This is it. It peak powered at 7,500 RPM. This is everything about it. Running 1.7 ratio rocker arm, and those are the load families they come from. You get the idea. Anyway, because you stuck around, I can give you that information. Although it's in other videos. But I put out so many videos, you have to watch quite a few probably if you're looking for one exact bit of information. But anyway, thanks for watching, and you guys take care.